I was asked to help design a sign for our country business, so I used part of their business card. They also wanted the heron on the left side of the sign. So I'm going to show here how we're going to go from a paper plan to a full metal sign. Everything was drawn up on paper, and from the paper we're going to trace it out, digitize everything, and get it ready for a plasma cut. The diagram is detailed, but it's large, so it's doable. But you got to keep track of what sections you trace, so you won't trace it twice. So I used a red marker to show where I start, and I also marked up the sections that I had completed. I'm using Logitrace 2018, and I've selected tracing with polylines. I trace out each section and I complete it and close up that section so I have a closed vector. I also save my work frequently. In case I make a mistake, I can go back, use the edit command, delete that portion, and redraw it. I mentioned about marking up the sections I've drawn, so I showed the diagram here and you can see the sections I completed. The diagram looks busy, and it is. It's very detailed, but like I said before, as long as you keep track what section you've traced, mark it off, do it section by section, next thing you know, it's done 55 minutes later. I've traced out a blue heron back in about 2010, and he was standing in amongst a bunch of reeds and cattails. It was detailed back then, and I managed it fine. Actually, the blue heron is one of my favorite birds. I was quite shocked one time when I saw one. It was dead. Something happened at the beach, and they've got a 52-inch wingspan. And their body is just kind of like a skeleton. On this video here, you can see the sections that I completed. So we're getting close here to finishing up the drawing of the heron. So once I finish up here, I'll create a file and save it as a DXF, and then we'll carry on with some of the fonts. I decided to trace out this font, as compared to using a built-in font from the computer. This was the particular font they wanted, and I couldn't quite locate the exact one in the computer, so I printed it and traced it out. This was the font on the business card. It's actually very smooth tracing, kind of flows. When I trace shoreline, there's no breaks. It's one file, so when I select done, it closes up the vector. So if you selected edit for the shoreline, it'll delete the whole word and you have to redraw it. It's because it's a handwriting font. It's continuous. Also, just a reminder here, when these drawings are all complete and I have all my DXF files, this is going to be cut out of steel. And we're talking about a sign. It's going to be about 6 foot by about 32 inches wide. About 1/8 inch, 3/16 steel. I think it was also decided that they're going to put some sort of a white background, just like the picture when we first started. Because the sign's going to be black, they're going to use a white background so the letters will show up white. Well, this completes the tracing. We got the shoreline schick traced. We got the blue heron traced. The next item is to get it into Vectric Aspire. Now I'm going to take all the files and load them into Vectric Aspire 9.5. We're going to load in the heron, load in the shoreline schick font, and we're going to create the second font at the bottom using Magnolian Beatty. I'm also going to lay out all the files just the way I want to see the sign. Once I'm happy with the layout and how it's going to look, I'll create one DXF file that we're going to load into the CNC Plasma. A point to remember here is that Vectric Aspire 9.5 cannot create a toolpath for Plasma. All I'm doing here is laying out the files and creating a DXF file. Here I've taken the completed file and loaded it into SheetCam to have a look at it, and here we can create a toolpath for Plasma. Just to show this file in a different way, I've loaded it into a CAD viewer, which is like an AutoCAD. Now I'm going to load the file into CorelDRAW just to show the difference between CorelDRAW, Vectric, and a CAD viewer. CorelDRAW is an excellent node editor. You can see the nodes here. They're very easy to modify or edit. Now we're going to take that final file and we're going to load it into the Plasma Cutter. This Plasma Cutter is a tracker, and this is where we're doing the toolpath. Now the Plasma operator will take the file. He'll fine-tune it to set up his machine, which cuts he wants done first, and how he wants the cutter to go into each cut. Cutting metal with a Plasma is just amazing. I can't get over how smooth it cuts. You can see here it's cutting the shoreline schick. And now it's cutting the liquidation boutique. I also designed two small signs. One sign says open, one sign says closed. And these signs will hang just below the main sign. So when they're open, they'll have an open sign hanging there, and when they're closed, they're going to have a closed sign, and it'll be a different color. These were just fonts out of the computer. Didn't take a lot of time for the cuts, but by the time we were done getting all the stuff punched out, it was about 3 hours. So once all the letters were pushed out, this is how the sign looked, and it looks good. I also showed the two small ones, they open and closed. Before the blue heron file ever got to the plasma, I cut it first on the CO2 laser out of 1/4-inch mahogany plywood. I'd rather do a test cut here on the laser instead of wasting a piece of steel. And that waste would be 3 foot by 6 foot. So the cut went well, there was no problems with the DXF file. You can see here the laser cut is intricate and it looks good. So from an idea on paper, and we're cutting it out of steel. That's one sign that'll be around for a long time.